creamed cake by hand.
Good afternoon. We are here to make a creamed cake by hand. So this cake, I have all the mise en place for it here. I have cake flour, baking powder, baking soda, salt. I have cinnamon and cloves, and I have a nutmeg seed, which we're going to grate by hand. I have the brown sugar, the butter, the eggs, and the milk. Now, this cake can be made by hand, beating it with a wooden spoon, which we're going to do. It could be made with a KitchenAid mixer, or it could be made with a handheld mixer. So whichever you have, if you have either of those two, then have at it. If not, I'm going to show you how to do it with a spoon. Takes a little bit more work, but it should be fine. All right, let's get started. We are going to take the softened butter, drop it into the bowl. This butter, as you can see, is perfect. See what happens when I pinch it? One more time. Let me give you a little pinch. Pinch, and it bends right down. Not too soft, not too firm. Now I'm going to start creaming the butter with this spoon, and it's going to take a bit of work. So I'm going to just stay with it, and then I'll come back and show you the finished product. All right, so I've worked this, and it's taken me about 10 minutes, but I have this butter softened, creamed, and nice and soft. I'm now going to add the brown sugar. So I'm going to take this sugar, I'm dumping it all in, and I am going to begin to cream the butter and sugar together. And again, this is probably going to take me 10 minutes. I will come back and show you the finished product. So I have been working about another 10 minutes to cream together the butter and the brown sugar. So I think you can see it's pretty smooth, it's pretty light. It's harder to tell if it's quote-unquote light and fluffy when you're using brown sugar, because you don't see the change in the butter color. However, I would say this is adequately light and fluffy. So now I'm going to scrape this off the spatula, and I've used both the spatula and the spoon to cream this mixture. I'm going to show you how to grate this nutmeg seed. We need quarter teaspoon of nutmeg seed. So you just take it, be careful you don't grate your fingers, slide it back and forth over a little bowl, like so. I have my measuring spoons right here. I'm gonna grab, and it's really soft, so you kind of have to pack it down to really get a full quarter teaspoon. But fresh nutmeg tastes so much better than the pre-grated. So there's the quarter teaspoon of nutmeg. I'm putting it in with the other spices, and then I am going to take the baking powder, baking soda, and salt, put them in there. I'm putting all the spices in here, and then I am going to take a little whisk and blend them all together. I had already sifted the flour, but I'm going to use this little whisk to blend them all up together. If you don't have a little whisk, you can just run them through a sifter or a strainer, and that'll work just fine. And if you don't have any of that, you can shake the bag up. All right, so now our flour is ready. I am going to crack 2 eggs into this bowl. And I'm going to take a fork, and I'm going to give them a scramble. So the next step in the creaming process is to add the eggs to the creamed butter and sugar a little at a time. And if you remember, we said we were trying to emulsify these ingredients, and that means we need this butter sugar mixture to absorb this egg, and it's going to take a bit to make that happen. If we put a small amount of this in to the bowl, it will be easier for us to get it blended in. Now this is going to take some work too,
I'm going to use a spatula for this job, and I'm just going to continue to mix until I get it all absorbed. Once I do, I'll come back and show it to you. All right, first amount of egg is absorbed into this mixture. I use this spatula the whole time. You could easily use the wooden spoon, but I just want you to see it. It's no egg on the outside. All the egg is absorbed in the butter sugar mixture. So now I'm going to do it again. I'm only going to put about half of this, just because without a mixer, it's a lot easier to do it by hand if you add it a little at a time. So again, I will blend this in, and then I'll finally blend in the last third, and I'll show you the finished product. All right, so we have emulsified this mixture. If you look at it, it's light in color. The egg has been absorbed. It's the tiniest bit. Without a machine, it's a lot more work and a little harder to get it emulsified, but we have it emulsified. And now we are going to add the flour and the milk alternately. So we're going to start with the dry, put 1/3 of the dry in, mix it, half of the milk, mix it, the other third of the dry, the milk, and then the dry. So I'm going to put, we always start with the dry and end with the dry. So I'm putting about 1/3 in, and I'm going to use this spatula to stir it in gently without making a big mess. And when I have the flour absorbed, I will add half of the milk. And I'm almost there. All right, I think you can see that. Yes? All right, so that's 1/3. Whoops, got a little not so good. Got a little unblended flour on the bottom. Very important that we get that, so make sure you get all the way to the bottom. All right, we've done it. All right, we got it. Now we're gonna add half of this milk. This milk is at room temperature. It's been sitting out, so I'm gonna add approximately 1/2 of it. And then I am going to work to incorporate this milk. When I come back, or wait, I'm going to continue to stir. And I won't bore you with the whole stirring process, but I'll just show you how it looks after the milk. Now see, it looks a bit curdled, and maybe might be because I didn't use quite enough flour or quite enough milk, but we'll correct that with the remaining flour. So in with the next batch of flour, and I'll show you the finished product. All right, so here's our cake batter. It's light, it's aerated. All of the milk, all of the flour have been added alternately, as we discussed earlier. And now, if we were actually making a cake, we would scale this batter equally into 2 cake pans, 3 cake pans, whatever we needed. However, we are making cupcakes, and I don't have any cupcake papers that fit this particular pan. Also, these cupcakes are larger than the ones that I'm giving you. You're getting a dozen disposable ones. I think I'll probably make 9, I'm guessing. We'll find out. Now, I've lightly greased these. I want to show you. Lightly greased, yes, 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 no. Too much. So you want to always just put a very thin film. That's all you need. Now, to expedite this, I'm going to use a scoop. I'm actually going to drop 2 level scoops of batter into these cups, and once I have them all done, I'll come back and show you. So here we have 9 brown sugar, or no, I'm sorry, 11 brown sugar spice cupcakes. I'll give the pan just a little shake back and forth, but I will not tap it. Tapping it takes the air out of it. We just want to level it a little bit, so just a little shimmy on the counter, and we're going in an oven, 350 degrees. I'm going to say 22 to 24 minutes. I'll let you know. We'll come back and see the finished product. Okay, our cupcakes are out. We have 11 cupcakes. and it took about exactly 20 minutes. They are shrinking away from the side of the pan just a little bit. They spring back when touched, and the toothpick came out with just a little bit of cake on them. So perfect.